Hello and welcome to a noodle night edition of Nine Honey's Everyday Kitchen. I'm Jane de Graaf, and tonight we are making a vegetarian home version of pad thai because it's a dish that everybody loves and it works incredibly well with tofu. If you haven't tried cooking with tofu before, this is a great place to start. So the first thing we're going to do is make our pad thai sauce, which we'll set aside and use once the noodles are in the pan. And to do that, in this jug, I have 1/3 cup of coconut aminos. Now they look like this and you can get them from the supermarket, and it's basically just coconut vinegar with some added coconut syrup for sweetness. If you can't get this, don't worry, just use a bit of soy sauce, but use a little bit less because it is saltier than the coconut aminos. But we've got our coconut aminos. Into that, I'm going to add 3 tablespoons of coconut sugar. And again, if you can't get coconut sugar, brown sugar is absolutely fine. You're just looking to add some sweetness to what is otherwise quite a salty, vinegary flavour. Into that, I'm going to add the juice of 1 lime. I like quite a lot of lime juice in mine, so if you've got a really juicy lime, go for it. Then I'm going to add a dash of tamari. Now again, you can use soy sauce if that's what you've got. In that goes. Give that a lovely stir around. And now we're going to add some punchy flavours. Here I have some chili paste, some garlic and some tamarind paste. And the tamarind is sour, the chili is obviously hot, and the garlic is nice and pungent and fragrant. So we'll pop that all in and give that a good stir. Oh, that smells incredible. And the sweetness and the vinegar and the heat and the garlic is all just going to marry together beautifully. And we'll set that to one side until we're ready to add it to our noodles. Now what I'm going to do is heat up my fry pan. And the first thing that I would say about this is that you would usually see this made in a wok. Now what I know about woks is that at home we often don't have the proper heat source to really heat up the sides of the wok and get it nice and hot to do exactly what we want it to do. So unless you have a great heat source and a wok you're very comfortable with, you're actually better off using a flat, shallow fry pan. The reason for this is it stops any liquids pooling, which means that you won't end up steaming things and you'll get that lovely sort of sizzled effect that you actually want on your noodle dish today. So I would recommend this time going with a flat pan. So we'll just let that heat up for a minute. Okay, our pan's getting nice and hot. So now I'm just going to add a dash of sesame oil to the pan. Again, if you don't have sesame oil, you can do this with olive oil, but sesame oil has a lovely toasty fragrance to it, which absolutely works beautifully with what we're doing today. So we'll heat that up. And then what I have here is some firm tofu. And what I did earlier was I pressed it between some paper towel to get as much moisture out of it as possible. This just helps with the crisping on the outside, and it's a great thing to do, but if you don't have time, don't worry about it too much. And then all we're going to do is brown off our pieces of tofu. So we're just going to let those sit for a minute and get a bit of a crunchy brown edge on each side and turn them to get it done all over. All right, so we've got a nice crunchy brown coat on all the pieces. You can see this one is looking lovely and brown on the outside. And we've done that to all our pieces, just turned them until they're nice and evenly golden. And now it's time to turn the heat down and start adding some of our other elements. The first thing I'm going to do is pop in some chopped up chili. Now, as always, if you're serving this for people that don't like heat or for children, feel free to leave the chili out, but I like the chili, so I put in a whole chili there. To that, I'm going to add a little bit of garlic, and I want to toss this through quite quickly because I don't want it to burn. So give that a toss through. And then we're going to add another tablespoon of either tamari or our coconut aminos, depending on which one you'd like to use. And that, look at that. Oh, I wish you could smell this. It's going beautiful and caramelized in the bottom of our pan. Oh, yes. And that is where all the flavor starts really happening. Now what we're going to do is start adding all our other bits and pieces that make up our pad thai. So, what have we got? We've got our rice noodles, which I cooked earlier and drained, and I'm just going to pop them into the pan now. Give that a toss around. Oh yes, it's all coming together. I'm always too greedy and I overfill my pan. I'm going to try not to do that today. Wish me luck. So just give that a bit of a toss around. All right. On top of that, we're going to add a handful of bean sprouts. Some coriander, but I'm also going to save some for the very end. Some spring onion. Some toasted chopped peanuts. Oh, yes. How good's that looking? And a handful of shredded carrot. I'm just going to... Now, wish me luck while I give that all a toss. Oh, how good is that looking? I wish you could smell it. It's incredible. Now really all we're doing is heating those things through. We don't want them to cook down too much. And the last thing we're going to do is add some of our sauce. Now this will start to send things soft very quickly, so really we want to be ready to plate up pretty quickly after this. Here we go. Oh, yes. Sweet and vinegary and oh, it smells so good. Bit of heat in there. And that, look at that, that's it. That is our pad thai dinner ready. So all we need to do now is get it onto the plate. So vibrant, smells amazing. Oh, there we go. Some more of our tofu on top there. Now don't pretend ever to be able to plate up neatly. So what I'm going to do is just build a nice mountain of it. And then do the all-important tasting. So there it is. Let's get some more bits of our beautiful tofu. Oh my goodness. And then the last thing I'm going to do is pop another sprig of coriander on top. And I'm going to serve it up with a squeeze of lime because that's what I happen to like. And a drizzle of peanut sauce. Now this is just peanut butter that has been loosened up a little bit with a tiny bit of vinegar, and that's really all you need. You can put some garlic through it if you want, but that is entirely up to you. And there it is. Oh, our delicious, easy, home vegetarian pad thai. Now let me see how much I can cram into one mouthful. Thank you so much for joining me for 9 Honey's Everyday Kitchen. I really hope you give this recipe a try, especially if you haven't cooked much with tofu before, because it is a great place to start, and I will see you next time. That is so good.